Okay, we've got a lot to cover, and as you can see, we've got a lot of panelists here to fill you in on all things travel today. So I just thought this would be a fun topic. I have never presented on this topic before, and so you're my guinea pig, so here we go. According to the 2024 AARP survey, approximately 2/3, or really closer to 65% of older Americans traveled last year. The same study revealed that as many as 75% of older adults have a travel bucket list. Who has a travel bucket list? I do. See, that's like almost, actually that was more like 90% of you. Places they want to visit during their life. This group with the travel bug includes the youngest batch of baby boomers, sometimes called the peak 65, which is now reaching retirement age, as well as older folks in their 90s and beyond. We boomers, zoomers, and savvy seniors are not looking for a sedentary lifestyle during our retirement. We feel, many of us, that we're still young. We want to remain physically and mentally engaged, and continued exploration is often a key element of this. After all, we still have items that we want to check off on our bucket list, don't we? Additionally, that AARP survey shows about 14% of older adult travelers have a disability or have a travel companion with one. And interestingly, this group travels just as much as their same aged counterparts. The number of Americans with health and mobility challenges will only grow with our aging population. So as a result, more low mobility friendly travel programs will likely enter the market to cater to these folks. So travel's been shown to have a variety of benefits for us older adults. And this is sort of why I wanted to present today. Mental and emotional health benefits, physical health, and social connections. So let's just jump into our topic today. I'm going to just go down the list and ask each of these wonderful folks here to introduce themselves quickly, tell you their name, who they work for, maybe how long they've been in business, and then what maybe they did before. How'd they get into this business? Isabel.
So my name is Isabel Chouanière-Correa. I own my own boutique. La Closer, thank you. Boutique agency in Oakland. And I've been in this travel industry for 17 years.
Can you hear her okay? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No,
okay.
A little louder and a little closer when you speak next time.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good morning. My name is Jamie Lund. I work for AAA Travel. I am the travel sales manager for all the branches in the East Bay area. I've been in travel now for 27 years. I have worked both on the retail side as well as I've worked for 2 different major cruise lines. My past life, I was in the laboratory service industry, so I went from medical to travel, and people tend to like to talk about travel more so than medical laboratory services.
Good morning, Dayna. My name is Jade Chapman. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I started in the travel business, when I was 19 years old, the family tour company, so 35 plus years later, and I was the president of that company for the last probably 10 years that we were in business. Then I went and worked for Tiffany & Company and Louis Vuitton. And then I actually started working for AAA. When I was in the tour business, we were one of their preferred suppliers. So I had a long history of knowing AAA travel. So delighted to be here and meet all of you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mike Mullery, Alamo World Travel. I've been in travel a little over 15 years. I've been doing heavy-duty travel for probably the last 27 years. So before I was in travel, I was a headhunter for a while and also did sales and marketing, electronic wire and cable.
Hello. I'm so glad to see such a great group of people. My name is Eileen Ferguson, and I am the owner of Alamo World Travel. We've been in business 45 years. I started when I was 8. No, not really. Not really. Before that, I was a flight attendant, which is when I developed my love for travel. And after that, I taught junior high school, which made me realize that they the middle schoolers would probably kill me before I killed them. So I decided to go back to my real love, which is travel. And we started that Alamo World Travel in 1981.
Wonderful.
And I failed to introduce myself. Just out of curiosity, how many people are here for the very first time? Newbies. Newbies. We've got newbies. Okay, so groupies, be nice to the newbies. We hope you come back. I kind of selfishly wanted to do this topic because I want to learn more about travel, because I hope that I am going to start traveling a little bit more now. So I'm going to start with Mike for our first question and ask Mike, what are the top emerging international destinations for travelers in 2025 that offer both safety and unique cultural experiences?
Well, first, with the safety, a lot of that depends on the vendor you're working with. And if you're working with a good vendor, a reputable vendor that knows the ins and outs of where you're going in the country and whatever else, you will be safe. And also, if you don't travel too far off the beaten path, you don't get out of the tourist areas. Some of the emerging areas, right now, the last several years, it's been Japan has been really growing on that. A lot more people are going to Antarctica. A couple other emerging ones, a couple of the exotic ones, Mongolia is one of the emerging ones. But once again, there you got to be with the right vendor, and if you are and you're with the group, you will be safe. Another one that's really growing has been in the last several years. Iceland and Croatia have really been growing a lot, and another one that's starting to emerge, especially lately, is Greenland.
And actually, there's nonstop flights starting from New York to Nuuk in Greenland. So that's showing there's some popularity of people wanting to go there. So go figure.
How interesting. Mike, what countries should we avoid and why?
Some of the ones to avoid, obviously, are the obvious ones. Iran, Iraq, some of those. Israel is usually a great place to visit, but right now it's not really probably a good place to visit. There are other countries, a lot of them that you can go to where you'll be okay, like Canada, for instance, right now is safe. But if you go to Canada right now, don't wear anything that says USA. So don't wear any red, white, and blue outfits or anything. And if you have a MAGA hat, you probably shouldn't wear it there. But you'll be safe. Another one that you can, Mexico. A lot of the areas are good, but once again, there's some areas that you should not go to in Mexico. But generally, there's this, you can look at our website, and we do have State Department warnings on our website where you can say, hey, or else just give us a call, and we can tell you if the country is a good one or a bad one, or maybe not this year, but maybe in a couple of years.
Is there a website that any of us could go to, like in general, or would we just Google it that might have those country warnings for whatever reason?
It's on the State Department website. It's
State Department?
State Department, right. And they update it. And there's a difference between warning and advisory.
Yes.
So if it's an advisory, they say most likely it's okay, but just with caution. But warning, then you know that you're not supposed to go there. So you just look to see what it says about the various places. And they change all the time. So you need to make sure you're looking close to when you're thinking about going.
Okay. Isabel, you wanted to add something?
Travel.state.gov would be the website to go to.
Nice. Travel.state.gov if you're planning on going somewhere that might not be safe this year.
Also on our website, we not only have a link to the State Department information, we also have a link for visas. So you can find out what country you need a visa in and what country you
Good.
don't.
And we're going to get more into that.
World.com.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jada and Jamie,
Yes.
Can you highlight the most underrated domestic travel destinations that provide exceptional value or maybe unique experiences for us this year?
Sure. So you know what they say about planes, trains, and automobiles. And I always like to add in there boats and ships. So in the U.S., we really have some great opportunities to just explore the country by train and by boat. So Rocky Mountaineer is known for their Canadian Rockies tours, but now they run a tour that starts out of Las Vegas and then goes to Denver. So that's a really wonderful way to see the scenery of the country. Going on the Mississippi, there's a line that offers Mississippi cruises. Several companies do. If you want to get a sense of Americana, go on a Mississippi cruise. You will not get a greater sense of Americana than maybe going to Smithsonian. And that should be on everybody's bucket list, too. You have to get to Washington, D.C., the state parks, the national parks. There are some tour companies that offer wonderful guided tours to the state parks where they will include several state parks or national parks, and that's really the best way to see it.
Are there any hot spots in the U.S.? You know, like for a while, everybody was going to Sedona.
Right.
And then everybody's going to, is there...
So right now, the Carolinas, they're really becoming a hot spot for food, wine, their beautiful coastline. Nashville, I think, is going down a little bit. It's still up there. So I think the southern states are still enjoying a resurgence because of their food and wine and history. In California, San Diego is still a hot spot because for their beautiful weather. So that you could easily do on your own. But if you want a guided tour to see this, we still have the privilege of jumping in our cars and going state to state without passports. You need that real ID. So, take advantage of that. But there's some wonderful tours out there where you could really get in depth into this country and the history and just really savor the natural beauty we have in Americana.
Nice. All right. Eileen, solo versus group travel. How do group travel packages differ from solo travel arrangements in terms of cost, safety, and overall experience?
That's a very good question. About 60% of the business that we do is group travel. So I advocate it, obviously. The advantages really are you have somebody with you at all times. You've got a tour guide that's giving you all the information about the destination, is keeping tabs on where people are. Nobody's going to get lost. If you have the experience of having other people to get to know, some of the best trips I've had were people from outside the United States on the tour buses with me, and I got to know them. So much fun to experience different cultures just on a tour bus. And also, the cost is less because everything is a group rate. So the tour operator negotiates group rates for the hotels. You have your meals included. You don't have to worry about where am I going to go. Your luggage is offloaded off the bus, put in your room, taken back in the bus. So it's really so much easier, especially for older people, not to have to worry about where they're going to be and how to get there and what it's going to cost. Everything is prepaid, and you really have a wonderful time with a group of like-minded people.
Nice. All right, Jamie and Jade, what do we solo women need to know about? I mean, there's a lot of women that want to travel that... what do they do? Or maybe they want to travel some alone, and then they want to connect with other solo women traveling. How does that work?
So I'm a woman, and I've been traveling alone since I was 19, leading large groups. So safety precautions, really doing your research, knowing the destination, then letting your family and friends know where you're going, traveling modestly. You leave your tiara at home is what I always say. And just using your good common sense and intuition. So, and that goes for anybody, women or, men, whether you are traveling internationally or here in beautiful Lafayette. So really just good common sense, intuition, and knowing what you're doing. Okay?
Are there any tour groups that specialize in connecting solo women travelers?
So there are
Jamie, I'm sorry.
No, go
I didn't know who wanted to take
There
that.
are tour companies that will match you. They will, and there is a single supplement usually to traveling alone. Some tour companies will offer you a price at a double share, and then they'll match you with a person, aged and sex, of course. If they do not match you with somebody, you still get the price for that room. Now, there are companies out there that do match people. That's not my thing. I like to know people. I'd rather find a friend myself or a family member to travel with me.
Jamie, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I mean, just like what Jade had mentioned, we get asked this quite a bit. Can you match me with somebody else? And there is a liability issue there. When we don't, matching two people sharing same room, there's a liability issue there. And also what I recommend is we're in the travel industry, and a lot of our family and friends know that we travel extensively. So I have a lot of friends that'll say, when you take that next trip, call me. Well, they're good to have lunch with. They're not necessarily good to travel 15 days with.
That's a good point.
So make sure that when you're inviting someone that you are somewhat compatible, because if not, that can change your experience and possibly your friendship dramatically.
Such a good point. Yeah, Mike?
Also, there's a lot of companies that will have reduced or no single supplement on some of their trips. So you can call and find out, who does have a reduced or no single supplement.
Love that. Okay, sticking with the Jamie and Jade team. What are the key benefits of ocean cruising? And which destinations are considered a must-see for ocean cruise adventures?
Great question. So I am a fan of ocean cruising just because of the history of ocean cruising. You go back to, beginning of coming to America, the size of the ships, the amenities on the ships, where you go, the ports of call. Ocean cruising could be a crossing going transatlantic, or it could be around a continent, South America to Asia. So anywhere in the world that's on your bucket list, you could go on an ocean cruise. The amenities are different on a large liner. So you will have a casino. We talked about that earlier. Shopping, different dining venues, cabin choices. So you might have balcony all the way down to inside cabin. So that's great for family travel because not everybody has to be in a balcony, right? So a lot of choices on ocean cruising and ocean vessels. Hot spots to go to in ocean travel. Anywhere in the world is my answer on that. I like to see Asia is opening up again to the larger ships. Mediterranean still will always be a large ocean ship destination. Anywhere you could think of. Personally, I love to sail out of San Francisco or in or out of New York. That is truly an experience that should be on your bucket list as well.
And with the must-see, what I like about this is what is your must-see? It's not necessarily what the trend is in the industry, but what is your must-see? And again, when you talk to people and they say, oh, you must go see that, well, why are they telling you that? Is it from their perspective, or is it something that you want to see? We don't all have the same interests. So when it comes to traveling the world, it really is about your must-see.
Another good point. Well, we have a different point of view from Isabel because she is very passionate about river cruises. So, Isabel, I know you like river cruises, and it's just a different way of cruising. Mm-hmm. And so how does that compare to a larger ocean cruise, and what destinations would you recommend?
Okay. Well, my delight or passion about river cruising is that the ships are much smaller, and because of that, they can go dock right in the center of whichever city the travelers are visiting. So it means that you can just, you're docking, your ship docks, and poof, you just walk to the center of town, go have dinner, and explore either on your own or on one of the guided tours that are offered, that are included in the price that you pay for the cruise. The other thing about this is that a lot of the cruises, for example, there's many cruises that go on the Danube, and on the Danube you get to cross several countries. So you start in Budapest and you end up in Germany, or vice versa, for example. And there are cruises that start from Holland and end up in Germany. So they have different routes like that. If you are cruising in Europe, you can book 2 cruises back to back and expand your range like that. The other aspect of river cruising that's important to me is that the cruise line will source their food locally. So and they don't have a single-use plastic, so they're completely banning that. So it's more ecologically sound as well.
Okay, good. All right, but Isabel.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
So going back to our solo travelers, river cruises are very conducive to solo travelers. It's an intimate setting. When they get you off the vessels, you are broken down into very small groups when you're doing the shore excursion. And when you come back on board, you talk about what you did that day or what you're going to do the next day. And you guys, they enjoy sharing stories. So as a solo travel, it's very easy to integrate into the group.
As opposed to, like, what's the biggest ocean cruise ship? Like, how many people does it hold? I don't even know.
4,000.
How many?
5,000?
The 6
They're like
or 7.
5,000 to 7,000?
Many cities.
Yeah.
Might be a little harder to make friends.
Royal Caribbean's got 7.
7.
Or maybe it'd be easier because you have more people to be friends with. I don't know. Well, so we've heard, I keep hearing, scary things about cruises, right? You see it on the news. They get stuck. We had one that got stuck in the sand or something. We've had outbreaks of interesting illnesses. And why are we hearing more scary stories about cruises? Anybody have any input for that? Or is it just me seeing this
No,
stuff on
I mean,
news?
the thing about that is when something like that happens, it really gets a lot of publicity. To where it happens in the U.S. on a daily basis as far as a norovirus breaking out, but you're in a contained situation. So what I always recommend, and it sounds very trivial, but wash your hands. Always wash your hands. You're touching rails, you're touching elevator buttons. So before you put your hands to your face, have something that you can cleanse your hands with and wash them. That's one thing. And then the other thing is especially on the rivers, they will sometimes go dry, so the water levels will go low, and then they have to bus you down the river and some of the cruise lines, they are easy to swap the ships. Sometimes the rivers get too high as well, and then they can't clear under the bridges. Or could be a problem with locks, but these river cruise companies do this so well that they're able to pivot and adjust immediately. They know that you've purchased a river cruise. They know that you don't want a bus tour, and so they're able to pivot very quickly.
Isabel, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that the important thing is that the river cruise lines companies are very flexible, and also I always recommend to my travelers that they also be flexible. That things happen. We can't do anything about nature. So the cruise lines will do anything and everything to make sure that the travelers are comfortable, and at the same time, open minds. Keep an open mind.
And I think you hear the bad publicity about 1 in 500,000 or however many have an issue, as opposed to the many, many, many that have none. So if you look percentage-wise, of course, there's always risk to go anywhere. But considering the number of people that we have going on river cruises or ocean cruises that have a problem, it's absolutely minuscule compared to the people that have none and enjoy the experience and can't wait to go back.
That tends to be news in general, right? That's what the
Right.
media feeds us, all the scary stuff, so that we'll keep watching. All right, Jade and Jamie, safety and preparedness. So critical safety precautions and travel insurance considerations, I guess, especially for international. We touched on that a little bit. Is there anything else you want to add, or anything special for those of us 65 and older?
Well, I think it applies for no matter what age you are. So when I discuss travel and the potential of where somebody will go, no matter if they're in their 20s, 60s, 80s, travel insurance does come up. And I highly recommend it. The cruise lines, tour companies, and travel providers, they are in a business, and so they have heard it all. So, and your, situation might be very, catastrophic, but they will have certain rules of cancellation penalties and so forth. So I've seen many, many examples where people have declined getting travel insurance and regretted it later. And then I also have clients that have purchased travel insurance and do so every single time because they have come into a situation, either them or a loved one or friends, where that travel insurance has been essential in not only recouping costs of their investment, and that's what I consider a travel experience to be, an investment. They recoup that cost, but in a situation, let's say you are in Italy, you trip going in a doorway, you fall, you break your hip, your leg. You need somebody boots on the ground to assist you. And that's what the travel insurance companies will do. They'll contact family and friends. They'll, walk you through the hospital, maybe getting you home, covering those costs that you lost while you were perhaps injured. So travel insurance is essential. I know it hurts a little bit. Travel insurance is based on where you're going, the length of the trip, the cost, and unfortunately your age. So the older you go, a little bit more costly, but that is an investment protection. Highly recommend it.
Isabel?
Yeah, I totally second and triple that. I had a client who recently traveled. She broke her patella. She was in Germany. The insurance company had a travel nurse come to her, pick her up, and bring her back, fly her back on business class to the U.S. and then transport her home. So amazing service for, sometimes a fairly small cost compared to the benefits of having travel insurance.
Yeah, and what all of us should be doing is, there's many different pieces to trip insurance and what it covers, but what we all should be doing, especially when we're traveling internationally, is going to our primary health care provider and find out what is your coverage when you leave home, because this will act as most travel insurance, and you should make sure it has it. It acts as a rider to your primary medical. So if you get over there and you have a bill, you submit it to your primary, and even if they don't cover zero, now you have a backup and you're submitting it to the trip insurance company so you can be reimbursed. But it's really critical that you know exactly what your coverage. Don't leave the U.S. internationally with zero coverage. We all can tell you stories. We have horrific stories. That's one. And then two, people that decline it, and again, we have really terrible stories. The suppliers aren't necessarily forgiving. Like Jade said, we've heard it all. So it's very difficult to get an exception. That's one. And two, if they start making exceptions to those people that did not take out the trip insurance, then they are diminishing the value of the trip insurance for those that do take it.
And another thing people don't think about when you're talking about trip insurance, people say, well, I'm in good health. Yeah. But it also covers if you're canceling for the reason of an illness of a family member. This is parents, kids, aunts, uncles, and some of the various ones go quite a ways. So it's not only you're insuring, but looking at other people. And then another thing, you may be in perfect health, but what if you trip and fall and break your leg? So, I mean, these are things that people say, I don't need it because... And then these are the people that have incidents that they wouldn't have thought of initially. So there's a lot of considerations besides just your health that you're looking at.
And another point is you want to take it out immediately. So most travel insurance companies, if you purchase the insurance within 14 days of your initial payment or deposit, you will be covered for pre-existing conditions. Or those of family, let's say you have somebody, a family member that has a pre-existing condition, would cover them as well. So I like to recommend it as soon as, you sign up for a program. Also, there's different travel insurance. A lot of times a tour company, a cruise line will offer their own insurance. It's not necessarily the cruise line or tour company's insurance. They're not insuring themselves. So it's usually working through another insurance company that they offer this. Then usually your travel agency or tour operator will offer a separate type of insurance. So it's for you to discern which one you would like to sign up for. They cover different things. Okay. I like to recommend certain types of insurance, but it's really with whom you're working with that could give you those differences between the two.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. That was awesome. Eileen, which global destinations or hot spots in 2025 could offer me a unique cultural experience? Or maybe I'm into sustainable tourism. What would you say I maybe consider?
Okay, good question. Well, the hot spots, they say the 3 R's, which are Ireland, Iceland, and Italy, but not necessarily the ones that offer the sustainable experiences. To go to a place that does a little bit have an adventure travel, have the ability to be able to see some of the cultural things, such as in Galapagos Islands, in Africa, in Antarctica, in Africa. And on these tours, even though they call it soft adventure, it's not terribly difficult or strenuous, but you'll have maybe a visit to a Maasai village that we did in Africa. Or we were on the Mekong River on a river cruise, and we visited a family that lived right on the Mekong and saw how they lived. So a lot of the tour companies have what they call ecotourism, and they'll have a part of the trip where you visit a local something, whether if in Cuba, sometimes you go to a school for the deaf or see something that's unusual there. And then also they have a volunteerism, even on some of the cruises. Some of the shore excursions will be for a volunteer activity. And this is becoming more and more popular, the idea of giving back, which I think is phenomenal. Because the idea of going, as the rich Americans quote, we're not rich, but they think we are, and visiting the people as opposed to really helping them and bringing something to them that they are in desperate need of. So I think these are things that are all of consideration, and also not necessarily thinking of adventure travel as being strenuous, but going places that have a lot of culture to offer, but you can see it even if you are not terribly active.
Nice. Okay, perfect. Mike, I know a lot of travel agencies say they do luxury travel experiences. Well, I don't know if I have a luxury budget. I mean, I'd love to, but if I don't, how do I maximize my budget, but still ensure I'm getting a high quality trip?
Well, one way is definitely check with a travel advisor. Because first you may be looking at one type of an itinerary and whatever. A travel advisor can say if that's the good vendor or if another vendor might be better. Also, let's say you're looking at a cruise or a tour. Your travel advisor can help you decide which cruise or tour company is good. And they can also help you put the pieces together for a pre or post cruise or tour. They can help you decide if that vendor has a good pre or post package, or if you should be doing another one. Also, they can help you decide if that air from the vendor is good, or if you need another one. Also, they can decide which insurance is good. Also, you got to look at the package too. Some people will look at like a cruise that's not at all inclusive, and they'll go in and at low price, and then they'll be nickeled and dimed all the way through. Exactly. So you got to look at the whole package. For instance, an all-inclusive package will have a lot more stuff. Also on a tour, some people say, I like to go out and drive and whatever. You're going to miss all the windshield. Your time will be spent looking through the windshield. And also the time, the hotels and meals and all those, you got to figure those in. You get a tour package, and it's going to be overall a lot cheaper than doing it by yourself, and you'll enjoy it more because you're not always looking through the windshield, and you can also meet a lot of good people.
I'm sorry.
When people come to us, one of the questions, not the first words out of our mouth, but eventually, what is your proposed budget? Do you have an idea of how much money you want to spend on this? And this really gives the travel advisor an idea. We know exactly which destination to send you to, or which tour company, or which cruises. So you give us an idea of what your budget is, and then we put it together. So if you're doing this yourself, I think it'd be a little bit difficult to put the components all together and still reach something within what the budget is that you have in mind.
How do I get a budget airline ticket?
Do you really want to
Budget
do that?
airline ticket. Yes, exactly. So one of the things that they have now, they have them called basic economy on some of the airline flights, and you don't know probably until you get there, although I have noticed when you book it, there's a big flashing thing that says you're not allowed to bring any carry-on luggage. You can't check any luggage. You can't, you can check luggage, but you can't bring any carry-on more than just a purse or a little small backpack. No carry-on, and you pay for your seats. And by the time you get through, I'm not so sure you've saved any money. So steer clear of basic economy.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no basic.
Isabel?
If I may add, booking in advance really saves you a lot of money. So instead of feeling like, okay, I have to stay within this budget and, again, expand your mind, because, booking in advance for a river cruise, for example, you'll get 2-for-1 airfare, speaking of airfare, in a comfortable seat, and also like either a free pre or post cruise experience, land experience. So, it's a good thing to think in advance because you get much better deal still having a premium or luxury experience.
I think you just said something really important, booking in advance. My regret was we flew to Italy a few years back, Italy and Switzerland, and it was a big anniversary, big wedding anniversary. And so we were at the gate, and they had a upgrade to, first class for X amount. And it was expensive for us, but we thought, this is our special anniversary, let's do it. And we did, and wow, we were like the king and queen of Sheba. We could lie down and champagne and caviar, and it was so fun, so fun. The way home, because we didn't book in advance, we walked up thinking we would get that same deal going home. And they just looked at us like we were crazy. They didn't have anything like that. And we had the basic seat. They didn't even have an air vent.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Like, it was bad. So for 14 hours, we're sitting here going, get us out of here. Anyway, so thank you for, book in advance. Don't do a Dayna and David.
Can I add to that? How many of you here have heard of Viking cruises? Yeah. So they're very, very famous. They cruise rivers, oceans, expedition. They cruise pretty much everything. About 3 weeks ago, they announced that for their 2025 inventory, they were 88% sold out. And all cruise lines, they actually have price increases. Sometimes, for the most part, they'll do it at the beginning of the quarters, but if something is selling well, they will just go in and do a price increase on a particular voyage. So when you book in advance, you're getting better pricing. So some of the cruise lines are already open for 2027. So if you book now, you're getting 2025 second quarter pricing, and also you're getting what you prefer to cruise in. Because there's definitely on the rivers, a lot of people like the verandas, some people like the suites. Those typically go first. So booking in advance, you get the date, you get the itinerary, and you get the cabin that you want.
And maybe a better deal.
Airlines, hotels, and cruise lines work on this thing called the yield management. So when they see something selling like hotcakes, prices go up. So that's why, if there's really something on your bucket list, you want to go a certain time of year. Personally, I like spring and fall, right? You got to plan a year out at least.
And people used to say, is it better if I wait? So just to back up on this, it's never better to wait. There's never a time between the cruises, the tours, the airfare. They go nowhere but up. And you can book airfares 330 days before the departure date. So you have some liabilities. If you have insurance, you don't have to worry about it ahead of time. But definitely booking ahead is the only way to go in this day and age with the popularity of the various types of travel.
Awesome. Okay. And I've got to we have a lot of we've got a lot of stuff to cover here, so I'm going to keep us moving. Jade and Jamie, what technical advances
I'll keep this short and sweet.
or travel
I love
apps,
it.
right? Travel
Yeah,
apps
So,
should we be leveraging?
AirPods are really cool that you could put them in your suitcase, your handbag. If you need help, ask your grandkids or the genius at the Apple store to help you with some of this technology that's really fabulous if you take advantage of it. And you have the time to, learn it before you leave home or use it at home. Also, a lot of the cruise lines and tour companies are developing apps where you put them on your phone, you download the app, and so either before the cruise or tour and during the cruise or tour and even after, you go on the app and you could follow along with amenities, meeting up with people. So there's really some amazing innovations out there in the industry. So if you do get a chance to experience or have that opportunity, Princess has one that comes to mind called the Medallion. Fabulous. I took my father, we did a family cruise, and he's in his mid-80s. He had the best time with the app. He downloaded it on the phone, and he could see where all his grandkids and I was on the ship, and so I would be in the Lido, and he'd be walking up, I found you, That's great. Again, when we talked about single travelers, it's great to have that app as well. So you don't feel alone. You can find fellow travelers. You have a way of communicating with other people and the tour operator or the cruise line. So don't be afraid of it. Ask questions, ask your grandkids. A great way to communicate with them as well. So just, don't be afraid of it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. How about health and wellness? Wellness and health considerations. One of you mentioned something about an activity rating.
Yes.
I wanted you to talk about.
So I love this question. A lot of the tour operators and also the cruise lines, when they offer their shore excursions, will have a rating, usually from 1 to 5, sometimes 1 to 4 of activity level. So you can pick, what is in your comfort zone: walking, biking, hiking, zip lining. So that's really a great way to know in advance and to, have the experience that you want to experience, right? I think this generation, more than anybody, the boomers, are really into health and fitness, the blue zones, some areas to go to, Costa Rica, Italy with their food, going to places that don't have preservatives in their food, that they walk and don't drive, I think is a great way to just experience life. So, we're all into doing our little walks and our steps every day. You could do that on a cruise or on a tour. So, great way to be active and keep the mind active too.
Nice.
They also, too, certain cruise lines will have what they call more of a leisure group. So again, I'm going to use Viking as an example since most of you raised your hand about knowing Viking. You can pre-sign up because you get a shore excursion in each port on Viking. So you can sign up for the shore excursion, and then once you get on board the ship, you can go to guest services and you can ask to be put in a leisure group. So if you have mobility issues, you still get the same experience. Instead of walking off the vessel, sometimes they will drive you closer to where the group will start. And then also, too, when they rate it, and if it says moderate to difficult, what they're referring to there, it's the unlevel of the pavement because you're walking on cobblestones. There might be more stairs because a lot of the places that you're touring, especially in Europe, they don't have elevators that go up and down. So it's not necessarily the inclines, although it'll tell you that. It's typically more your uneven pavement and then walking up and down stairs.
Perfect. Isabel.
Yes.
Adventure travel.
Yes.
For travelers interested in adventure or specialized experiences, culinary, photography trips, cultural exchanges, what unique opportunities are emerging now?
Yeah, so one of my fellow panelists mentioned the word soft adventure. So adventure is not necessarily about skydiving or ziplining. I just came back from the city of Oaxaca in Mexico, and every single day we had adventures to the local towns nearby. And one day we met with an 80-year-old candle maker who is the matriarch of a multi-generation family, and so it's a family-owned business. It's been like that for generations, and she only uses organic material, like she sources her wax in the state nearby, and so on. We also visited a tortilla maker, again, multi-generation family-owned business. So a pottery, and so experiences like that, that are very enriching. And not only that, but when you travel to these places and visit these people, you also are contributing to their economy. So that also is included in sustainability and sustainable travel. Does that answer?
It's more immersive.
Very
Right.
much.
I mean, I love a good museum as much as the next person.
Yes.
But that really speaks to me, getting to really know how people live and eat and what they do and how they make a living and their culture. I think that's really exciting
Yes.
because that just makes us better humans when we come home, I hope. Right? Or that's the idea.
The goal, yes.
Eileen, what are the most logistical, what are logistical considerations for international travel? And we started to talk about this, visa, maybe, health certifications or shots or travel documentations. This is what gets me all worked up. Like, really, I've got to do all this? Depends where we're going. What should we know?
Okay, good question. I don't know how many of you heard about the pilot that had to turn around the plane because he forgot his passport. Okay, so first thing, you definitely need a passport. It has to be good for 6 months past the return date. So that's something some people just don't realize. And if you need a visa, the person to consult is your travel advisor, or there are several websites. One is called CBT, and it gives you all the visa requirements.
CIBT.
CBT visas.
CIBT.
CIBT,
And
right.
it's updated daily. And this is the thing that you definitely need to keep track of because things change from month to month on what are required. There is right now a visa to go to the UK if you're not just transferring, but you are staying there. You need a visa for that. You've all heard about probably the upcoming one to go to the EU. It hasn't been formalized yet, but it will. So it's definitely imperative that you consult a professional or go on the website to find out what visas are required, what type of inoculations are required. And this is another thing that is of interest to people regarding vaccinations, since there's some confusion sometimes on it. If you go to your doctor or primary physician, they'll say these are the recommended vaccinations, and recommended and required is two different things. So I went to Africa and I got absolutely nothing except for a malaria that I didn't take, and other people have 15 shots because they said, my doctor said I need them. Yes, you are advised, but not necessarily required. So two different things, and depending if you love to have shots or you just feel more comfortable that way, you can go ahead and do whatever is recommended, but recommended and required are two different things. But visas, required is required, no exceptions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, because that's important. Okay, Mike. The question we all want to know, but we're afraid to ask. What does it cost to hire a travel agent or a travel agency, right? And, why don't we just all do it ourselves? Why don't we just make our own travel plans? You want to speak to that, Mike?
Sure. Nearly every travel agency has a plan, a booking management fee to charge. And people think, okay, that's, we got to pay that, but you do get a lot for it. First, the travel agent can help you put all the pieces of your package together. The pre, the post, the insurance, all that type of thing. Also, like booking through us, for instance, we're part of Signature Travel Network. A lot of times you'll book a cruise and you'll get shipboard credit. Also, if you book, we're part of Signature Travel once again, and Signature Hotel, you'll always get breakfast. And, early check-in, late check-out, if possible, that type of thing. So there's a lot of different amenities you can get, from a travel agent, once again, in addition to putting the whole package together. Also, if you book through the internet and you have a problem, and you can go to whoever you talk to on the internet and to see about getting help. It's kind of like buying a lottery ticket. The odds are not very good. And with us, for instance, we're not only a large travel agency, we're part of a $12 billion consortium that does pre-qualification on the vendors also. So we know they're qualified, both service-wise and financially. And if we have a problem, we can't get it solved, we can go to the consortium. And once again, there's power in numbers.
So what is the range of cost that we would pay? Like, is it just a percentage that's added onto the package? Is it an hourly rate? How do you charge? What's the range that agents or agencies charge in the Bay Area? You don't have to say your firm necessarily, but just the range.
It depends on, first, if it's a regular package or if it's custom. If it's a regular package, it might be like maybe $150. If it's a custom, it could be maybe $500. Or if it's really, really deep and intricate, it could go up from there. It depends. If somebody has to spend hours and hours and hours, you're going to pay a lot more for the.
Okay. Isabel wanted to add
Yeah,
something.
it depends on the number of people traveling and the complexity of their itinerary. So I would say the same as Mike, that it varies. But again, it's very much worth it, because not only can the travel advisor put together your whole itinerary.
I would recommend that when you do begin the process, that you establish those costs immediately.
Right.
Because, we do have some people that come in and want a simple airline ticket, and we say, oh, this is the fee. And they say, oh, well, we didn't know that there would be a fee for that. And so it just gets it out there right away. They agree to the cost or not, but that should be something that should be established right away.
Yeah, from the beginning.
I would say that travel agencies are a profession just like a CPA or an attorney. You can do it yourself, of course, you can, and save money, but are you going to get the best possible outcome? And it's highly unlikely unless you're dealing with somebody that does that for a living and really knows the ins and outs of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we did a little bit of both when we went. I wanted to see what my husband would prefer because he hasn't done a lot of traveling, and I wanted him to dip his toe in the water because he will be traveling more moving forward, whether he knows it or not. So we did a week with a tour, and then we did a week where I was the tour agent, and I had booked everything and planned everything and gotten the tickets for different things. And we liked both for different reasons, right? I kind of don't like someone telling me I have to have my bags out in the hall at 7:13 a.m. or they won't be making the bus. So that was a little hard, but yet we got into places that I wouldn't have been able to get into. And when you see the big lines wrapping around a whole building, and we just march right in and walk in, and people are looking at us like, well, who are they? I mean, that was pretty fun. Yep. So, yeah, pros and cons. I think it's worth every penny to work with an agent, for sure. Okay, awesome. Jade, this is interesting, too, because you all were talking about consortiums and travel partners. How does an agency or an agent choose their travel partners? Or are you all part of the same big association? How does that work?
That's a good question.
Okay.
So you could have a small independent travel agency that works with a larger, what they call consortium. Or like us, AAA, we are essentially the consortium because we're so large nationwide. So you will have different levels of, but I could speak to that, whether you're an independent travel agency or a consortium or like us, your reputation stands on who you work with. So it's a very serious vetting process on who you will work with. Are they financially stable? Do they provide good service? Do they have a good reputation? Do they work well with you? Are they easy to get hold of for us? Because you may call and sit on 800 number or be, nine pressing buttons. For us, our time's very limited, so we have to have access to our suppliers. So, our time is very valuable. We may be putting together a complicated itinerary, so we need to have suppliers that we trust and we work with very well. So as I said, it's a very serious vetting process that any company, small, large, in between, really it is essential for their reputation to work with the right suppliers.
So you're a large company, but like an Isabel, so you get to pick who you want to partner with? Is that
Well,
how it
I'm
works?
also part of a large consortia called Signature, and because of this association that I have with them, then I have access to personal phone numbers of hotel property managers, for example, or a tour operator's cell phone number. And so my clients have their team on the ground, their hosts on the ground that they connect with, and I connect them with them. So they
And also the suppliers, when they're working with their different, they will provide benefits. And as Isabel said, boots on the ground, benefits of working with them. And like anything in life, relationship, right? It all boils down to relationship. Knowing people on the inside, that you could call up, pick up a phone and talk to.
So let's say, so do the airlines, for instance, do they give travel agents a different price than we would get?
No,
No.
and neither
No.
does the cruise lines. The
No.
cruise lines set the price, and so some people think you're getting a richer offer if you go directly to the cruise line. But because of our association with the cruise lines, and we have national contracts with them, Signature does, AAA does, you actually are leaving benefits on the table when you go directly to a
Right.
cruise line. Same with an airline. Airline is very tedious. You brought up a beautiful trip, and the one thing that you remember, you highlighted, was the air piece of it.
Yeah.
And so air is critical, and we know how to navigate the air. We know airports. What's going to happen when you land in Paris? How do you navigate through Paris? What's going to happen in London? So there's a lot of moving pieces to all of this.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and then Isabel, based on your expertise, what personalized advice would you give to travelers looking to have a transformative and meaningful travel experience in 2025?
Well, I would say definitely connect with a travel advisor about this. It depends what kind of transformation or what kind of meaning you're looking for. But so a transformational experience can be as simple as what I described about visiting the candle maker or the lady and her daughter who were doing weaving with a backstrap loom. Or it can be going on a meditation retreat, yoga retreat in Costa Rica or Italy or so the range is very wide, and there are more and more suppliers who offer this kind of experience. So it's really wonderful.
I mean, and you can bike through Italy. You can,
you can walk the
you can
Camino
hike
to
through the
Santiago.
Alps. You can,
too.
yeah, I mean, you can do anything with a group,
Exactly.
right?
It's really individual.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? And so when you come in and you speak with us, we're going to start asking the questions of what you're looking for versus starting to put options out, because we can tailor it to what's meaningful to you. What is on your bucket list, more so than ours?
And I tell my advisors they're part psychiatrists, because you really have to
true.
ask people what their particular interests are and what they're looking for. So part of that is establishing what the individual travel's most important things are before we even start.
Yep.
So true. I'm going to ask the same question to all five of you, and I'll start with Eileen. What is your favorite destination and why? And and make it sort of short, but favorite and why?
I always say it's the last place I visited. But the last place that I visited actually happens to be the Galapagos Islands, which is my name badge, and that was phenomenal. So I'm interested in things that are cultural. So you're talking Galapagos Islands, Antarctica, Iceland, absolutely beautiful. And I love history, so anything to do with the European river cruises where you're in the little towns that are just full of history and castles and different stories of who murdered who and all this. I absolutely love that. So
So you do not have a single favorite. I can see this. I love it. Mike, what's your favorite?
Well, I also enjoyed the Galapagos, and I absolutely loved Antarctica.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I also liked the Galapagos, but I absolutely loved Antarctica, and also Africa. Really enjoyed Africa. Had gone to Kenya, and then later this year we're going to go down to South Africa also. So, those couple of the favorites.
Jade.
Well, coming from a family traveling company, my first trip was when I was 8 years old on a freighter, 2 months around South America. So the first time I went through Panama Canal was at 8 years old. So for me, travel is about the experience with the people who I'm with, besides the destination. So next would be my honeymoon. I went on an old ship called Sagafjord in the Mediterranean from Genoa to Athens, 15 days. And we were in a suite, and I told my husband, it was his first airline flight, I said, this is not how normal people travel. But that was, I'd say, up there. And then going to China, to Beijing, because I'm half Chinese, doing that kind of heredity going back. And if you go to the Great Wall, go left, don't go right.
Good to know. Jamie.
This is really hard. I get asked this quite a bit. When you travel extensively, and it's a passion, it's been a passion of mine since I was a little kid. There really isn't any place that I could say I won't go. One highlight, I've been to Egypt actually a few times, and the very first time that I walked up to the pyramids, it was right before their second civil unrest in their country. So it was about 11 years ago. No one was there. They couldn't even believe I was there. So I walk up to the pyramids, no one's there, and immediately took me back to when I was in third grade. Back then, they had these large world maps that pulled down from the chalkboard. And I was sitting at my desk, and I went back to my little girl self, and I could see the geography book open to the pyramids, and here I was as an adult standing in front of the pyramids for the first time. So it's just always, it's those experiences, and also, I don't believe in seeing things once in your lifetime. There are many things that you need to see repeatedly, something as simple as the David. Every time I've seen the David, I've learned something new about the David.
Good point.
Wow.
Isabel.
I like to travel to places that have good food and good wines. And so Croatia was a very wonderful delight to discover and eat my way around. Mexico, I was delighted to find out, has several wine regions. So that's it.
Nice.
And Jordan.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I've learned so much. This was great. First of all, let's give them a round of applause. How many people are taking a trip in the next 2 years?
Oh,
Wow, way to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then we will end by saying we wish you happy travels, and we will see you next month.
Ciao.
Thank you for coming.
Bon voyage.